Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 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 makes sense. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 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 makes sense.
Me.
Yep.
Alright.
Well, good luck in the casting booth.
Yep.
See you
Alright,
guys.
thanks, man. See you guys around.
See you soon.
All right, guys. And with that, we are finally live. Please let me know if Good luck to both of the players.
Me.
Yep.
Alright.
Well, good luck
All right.
in the casting booth.
And let me know if you can actually hear us out there. We had a little bit of a tough time setting everything up. How's everyone in the chat? How you doing? Are you excited for some Uzuri versus Dromai gameplay? I hope people can actually hear me. Okay, there's like 100. You can hear me. Perfect. Lovely. All right. And yeah, with that, sorry for the bit of a delay there. We had some trouble setting everything up. Talishar is a little bit, finicky sometimes. So welcome to the Plague Hive once again, this time live instead of recorded. And with me today are a couple of lovely people. I've got Colin Swisher and Tom here in the stream with me, co-hosting this whole thing. They'll be doing the commentating with me. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
And we've got Mara Faris and Ben Dodd, who are already in a separate channel waiting to get the match started. And we'll switch over to them momentarily. And they're going to be with us after the game to, discuss everything, go over some of the lines, talk about the matchup, what they think, how it would play out, all of that kind of stuff. You can ask them a bunch of questions. And yeah, we're going to do it that way. So the way we've got this set up is... yeah, we're just showing you the game. I'm going to switch over to that right now. And get that out of the way. There we go. Actually like that. Perfect. And then, yeah, you guys can just watch this and enjoy some quality flesh and blood. And I think I'm going to just give them the go-ahead to start. They've already did the sideboarding. So that's all set up. You can see the starting here. I'm not sure which one of them decided to go first here.
I was saying this matchup, going first is very important.
Okay, so
looks like Mara's gonna
Mara
play,
went
so-
first, so I'm assuming that she won the die roll and decided to go first, because I think that's what Dromai wants to do.
Oh
in that
no. This is probably Ben's worst nightmare. Turn 1,
Turn 1 rake.
break the embers
Strong,
for 3. That is scary. I would into a pass. Ugh.
Okay. That's rough for him, but yeah. I mean, at least he still has the daggers, right? Because we know that Ben likes to flick aggressively. At least he did at
Mara
the
is
the
running
calling.
Silken Form, which is probably the one big counter to daggers.
Mm-hmm.
So you prevent your dagger, and you get a free Ashwing out
You
of
get
it.
an Ash and an Ashwing out of it. Yeah, pretty strong. Solid choice.
So if I'm Ben here, I'm thinking, how can I present damage and deal with those Ashwings at the same time? Go for it. Spider's Bite. Probably targeting an Ashwing here. Pitch a Blue Shred.
Pretty sure you need to get rid of those Ashwings in this situation. Like, if you see a
Starting off the
turn
game-
1 rake, you have to, get rid of the Ashwings. I don't think there's any way around that.
Naked Shakedown, pitching a Death Touch. I disagree with the pitch here, because Death Touch is so strong in the arsenal.
I mean, he might have a Shred in hand, right? So I could see that
Is
influencing
he going to
the play
activate the
here.
reaction? This is such a bad spot for him, because you don't want to give up daggers early. This is turn 1. This would be a terrible point to flick, even with Silken Form out, where he just prevents it.
Like, the thing about Shakedown is, right, the opponent kind of has to respect it if you've got a card left in hand, because, I mean, Mara knows the list Ben is running, or at least, like, close to what he's running, right? Because it's pretty similar to the list he ran at the Calling Melbourne. So she knows that Ben has got access to a boatload of shreds here. Like, he pitched one, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have another, right? So there's a decent chance that she's thinking
you
about
can't
respecting the
tread on
shakedown
an
here.
empty board, which is the problem for Ben.
Mhm.
If he ran something like Concealed Blade, this would be a whole
Sure.
different story. But unfortunately for Ben, I think the play here is to just let Shakedown resolve,
Mhm.
which he's going to do here. Arsenal, see what happens.
Just take the 6 damage and call it a day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Makes sense.
So Mara actually is she's not shy to Uzuri. She's practiced it quite a bit and tried to brew her own decks with it. So in part of those discussions, I remember her saying actually she's keen on just not blocking unless she has the D-React. So we'll see if Ben can pick up on any play patterns Mara might have, leading with a Ravenous Rabble to start her turn.
5-card hand too, with 2 of the Ashwings still in play. That's pretty scary. Okay, following it up with a Blaze Headlong. All right.
If I'm Ben here, I'm happy to just see raw damage.
Yeah.
Raw damage
absolutely.
is what I want to see here.
You're fine with taking, the vanilla if you've got the hand to swing back. That's not what you want to see.
And this is Ben's worst nightmare, Chromai. I don't want to ever see Chromai on this board.
So
It's
he
not
has
great.
to pop. He has to pop this, but it's okay because she doesn't have a ton of dragons yet. So in this situation, the popper is actually kind of relevant. Yeah, and now
Poor
she's
Ben,
developing
he's
a
just getting
passing.
the poorest ends of the stick here.
Well, look, there's no Ash left for Dromai, so basically Dromai is on tome waiting game, failing some other generating Ash engine.
It's not the worst spot to be in. Like the passing definitely hurts. Because like this early, you kind of have to clear it. If she was at 20, I could see just, go, okay, ignore the passing and, call it a day. Because you can still pop the second dragon and it's fine. But this
At 34
early...
life, you have to take it off turn.
At 34, you have
deal
to
with the
deal
Ash
with it.
Wings, deal with the Pathing Mirage, reset the board into...
Yeah.
And she has no Ash.
So Ben's
very
hope
happy
here
in
is
his
that
position.
he has a hand, I think, with a couple of extenders in it, some kind of go again. Something he can do to kind of pressure her a bit and then still clear the passing at the end of the chain.
Yeah,
Surprised by pitching a blue.
The way this Dromai deck is set up, right, with a few more of the 2-block cards, I'm actually not sure if Mara wants the game to go very long. Typically, Dromai, if they have a lot of dragons, a lot of 3 blocks, several defense reactions, they can afford to take the game long, and that's usually pretty bad for Uzuri. But if they get into some like early to mid-game fight here, there's not a lot of armor for this Dromai. That Silken Form might be clutch, but there's no Crown of Providence, so we'll see if Uzuri's Disruption can do anything there. And it's back to Mara here.
Let's see how she plays with no Ash.
I didn't well, here we are.
Here we
There's
go.
the tome.
The one card that broke Dromai forever.
There's an unfortunate reason why that card is so expensive at the moment. It's just so good for Dromai. Like, she was already good before, and now the tome just completely supercharges her.
Yeah, seeing 2 Azwais pitched, though, is, I think, pretty good news for Ben.
Yep.
I think it means that Mara probably will still have less Ash than she would like for this turn cycle.
I mean, the fact with the Azwais, I think, is they're a really good endgame engine for her, because Ben's on no AB in this matchup, so maybe she's also just going, okay, I'm going to pitch away those for later. And then if I actually get to the bottom of my deck because Ben drags out the game long enough and I can't kill him, I have those Azwais coming around in the second cycle, and they're going to be absolutely brutal when Ben's low on life with no AB. So I could see her like making that decision consciously, just go, okay, I don't need those right now. He can kill him pretty easily. And if I pitch him away, they're this like really scary threat for the late game. So Could be that's what she's going for here.
Yeah, I think veteran Dromai players do tend to they tend to have a few endgame strategies in their locker.
Here comes Mirror Guy.
So
Pretty scary dragon.
Yeah, he just cleared the passing. Now he has a mirror guy to clear. It doesn't end. Yeah.
I'm just hoping to see something clean like a Ravenous Rabble or... Well, you can't looking for a Scrap or Noble Strike at the moment since you don't have the necessary cards in the graveyard.
Yeah, he's his graveyard. I mean, he's got a Death Touch in there early. That's pretty good. Solid Codex target for whenever that shows up. And yeah. I mean, I've seen Ben actually codexing back a Rabble if he needs to. So that's also not terrible to have in the bin, just to fetch it later if it comes up. So
I do think you want to be grabbing power targets with cards.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like,
I mean, grabbing a Rabble just feels bad.
Yeah, sometimes, it's what you have to do.
Ben taking a little while to decide on a block here makes me think his hand is less than ideal.
Could be.
After all, it's only 2 vanilla damage here from the Mirror Guy. Perhaps he's considering the rest of what Mara could deploy here with 1 Ash, 3 cards in hand. Still has a Furnace activation to go.
I mean, the fact that she decided to just straight up attack with the Mirror Guy, I think kind of tells us she's not looking to attack with any other dragons this turn. She might develop some, but she's probably not going to attack with them unless Ben starts blocking heavily and she's like, okay, there's no poppers here. I can just, deal free damage at this point.
Yeah,
interested to see
that's
where that
consideration. Goes. I usually leave it to the assassin players to do mind games, but maybe you're right here. Mara might have some trick up her sleeve.
I mean, if she had like a Kaloria or something, right, that she could play out with that 1 floating resource, I think the play would normally be play the Kaloria, attack with that with no Phantasm, right? I think that's like
Oh no.
thought. Yeah. Oof. That is rough.
Yeah, Lost
And
in
Mara
Thought.
knows everything. Let's see how she plays. With
So what do we have?
this
We
new
have
information.
2 Codex of Frailty, a Looking for a Scrap, and a Shred. That's not great.
Not great.
Having 2 Codex of Frailties in the same hand just is the worst feeling
That's
in the
brutal,
world.
yeah.
I mean,
It's
if
not
I'm Ben
normally so
here,
bad.
I'm trying to see if I can get that card out of my arsenal. Probably play the first Codex, grab Rabble,
Grab Rabble,
play the second Codex,
told you.
grab Death Touch, activate the Tunic.
Sometimes
swing
it's
it.
what you gotta do.
You have 3 Ponders, which does feel bad, though.
Okay, Furnace activation should make 3 resources.
And here comes another problem.
Uvia,
It's
okay.
an Uvia. Yeah, but here's the thing. Mara still kind of has no Ash and just played a Tome.
I mean, she
So
doesn't
there's
have
only 2 left in the deck.
she doesn't have to use the Uvia, right?
Right,
like-
but it's a pretty low impact dragon at this stage,
That's
isn't
true.
it?
That's true, yeah. Like
Like, I
you've
wonder
got
if
no
she had a
Ash.
line, like knowing that Uzuri had no arsenal disruption, maybe she had a line where she just pitches the Uvia for Ash, as cringe as that might be. And
And
arsenal
thank
the
you,
Dromai.
Outsiders, for one of the best Dromai counters, down and dirty from the arsenal.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yep.
The one true counter to Lost in Thought.
Yep. It is. It absolutely is.
Well, the pretty rough thing about this Lost in Thought is that Ben will likely have a Ponder token anyway from a Codex of Frailty.
If I'm thinking what Ben is thinking, I think it's going to have 3, which does kind of suck.
You expect him to play 2 Codex. We'll see here.
I do expect him to deal with the Mirror Guy with the Codex of Frailty.
Probably
Yeah,
grab the
it's-
Rabble. Pray to God that there's a red on top, because otherwise you're really screwed.
If he flips anything but a red on top of his deck, I'm not happy.
Yeah, I sort of think swinging with both daggers potentially pitching the 2 cards in hand is like really not the end of the world. You do have like significantly worse efficiency if that rabble does show a red. But in this case, you at least get to Death Touch with pretty much
Tunic
complete
counter,
knowledge
yeah.
that Mara will not be able to defend it. The Spider's Bites will make all of the 2 blocks into 1 block. And if Mara's defending with dragons, you're also pretty happy. So I kind of like the daggers as just a safe play, lower risk, lower variance.
I do think you need to deal with that mirror guy because it's too early in the game to let a mirror guy live. The light totals are way too high.
We'll see what Ben chooses here. I mean, some of the problematic dragons to go with Mirror Guy are Chromai and Kyloria, and we haven't seen. We've seen only the one Chromai, I believe.
I mean, I could see a line where he goes like Codex, grab Rebel, clear the Mirror Guy, Codex, Death Touch, hit her.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking exactly.
Yeah. It's not, you need to discard the
many-
shred, so it hurts a little bit, and it's a little inefficient, obviously, with like 2 ponders, but...
You're going to have 3 ponders by the end of that.
Oh, right, because of the Lost in Thought, yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of awful, yeah.
And
Austin
Ben
sounds
plays
pretty
Codex of
good.
Frailty. Let's see what he grabs.
But I think that's like the only out you have at that spot, right?
Yeah.
Um,
and he's grabbing.
He does grab the Rabble,
He's
yep.
probably going to
Discards
go
the
for the play we
shreds.
described.
She grabs the Rabble as well, makes sense. And what does he flip? That's crucial now. If he flips a red, he's good. If he does flip anything else, oh god. It's
no!
Oh, no.
Oh, that poor guy.
No!
Oh my god. This
Yeah,
is so
Ben is
awful.
If
not a
I'm
gamer.
Ben right now, I am absolutely steaming.
Yeah. Like, oh man. I mean, he just won a calling on this list, so he's probably fine, but this is some bad luck. Like,
Yeah, it
seriously
is.
bad luck.
I mean,
think,
if
I think the
I
game
flip
is actually
the
not far
yellow,
away.
there's like a backup plan where you pitch the final codex to a dagger to kill the mirror guy. But flipping
yeah.
a blue is just all
Like,
bad.
he's going for the death touch here still. I think that makes sense. Like, grabbing
Yeah,
the
I
Rabble
think-
again just to salvage this turn just doesn't accomplish anything. So you need to pressure Dromai in this situation a little bit. He already
You
got
still
a,
have plenty more ways to have go again in the deck. You have
Mm-hmm.
Pearl, you have more Rabbles that'll probably hit red.
yeah.
We can just save Mirror Guy for later. She's on 4 cards. She has 1 Ash. We're not
Yeah.
worried right now.
Sometimes it's what you gotta do. It's like,
And she has 2 frailties. That Rabble's coming in for 2.
yeah. I mean, if she flips a blue, it's coming in for 0. But I'm thinking she's probably just gonna be like, okay, you know what? I'm just sitting on this Rabble for that turn. It's fine. I don't need to play it out. Unless she doesn't have anything else red with go again in her hand, which I think is very unlikely. So,
This is Dromai we're talking about.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that
Dromai's just taking the death touch.
that blue flip
Or she might
was
have a
just, oof. That blue flip hurt. But,
That
it is
hurt
what
my
it is.
soul so much.
It happens. That's Ravenous Rebel to you. Sometimes you flip a blue and you cry. Nothing you can
If
do
I'm
about
Ben
it.
here, I'm happy that she's taking 8 damage from that Blood Red
Mhm.
Pox. Resolving Ponder, let's see.
Resolving 3
You have 3
ponders.
choices for the arsenal.
I mean, at least you get to, you know that you're not gonna get 3 shreds here. So, like, the arsenal brick from the ponder at least is kind of solved with this, but obviously this is like less than ideal.
Yeah,
so if I'm
I
Ben
think-
here, I want to get that isolate I saw earlier into the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many looking for scraps does Ben run?
I
One?
think it's just the one.
Then never mind.
I think he runs
Disregard what I said.
one looking for a scrap and 1 nimble strike, just because the ratio of blue stealth cards that he has is so low. that he
Loria
can't afford to run
coming
more.
in.
But this is like the awful situation, right? You let the Mira guys sit around, and then the Dromai resolves the Caloria. That's exactly what you don't want to see. Because now you have to deal with that thing, and he doesn't have any silver. That's one of the outs to Caloria in this matchup, actually. Especially when
You do still have Crown of Providence, so you can
he can
give
block
him
it.
Crown
But,
a card.
yeah.
Probably fix your hand a bit with the card.
Mhm.
Hopefully, try to find something that can deal with Mirror Guy.
Still not
It's just
that
all
great,
around
to be
not a good
honest.
situation.
Yeah, a lot of the time I've been just giving the Dromai a hit on the Kyloria. Raw damage, if you can pop their next attack, is just fine sometimes.
Can be okay. It depends, I think. Like, what I like about this matchup is specifically on like a Redline list, right? You typically want to run Snapdragons instead of Black Techs, and Leave No Witnesses hits like almost every card in their deck. So you get silver kind of reliably in this matchup, at least one or two of them, and you have nothing to do with them. So it's kind of nice having a silver just sitting around for the
This is
Caloria.
interesting. Mara playing the Rabble from their arsenal, even though she has two separate frailties.
I mean, I'm
Making
guessing that she just wants to arsenal the last card in her hand simply because it's not playable for her in this situation.
You're losing so much value.
She could pitch it to the Furnace just to make some more Ash.
That's what I would have done, honestly.
Yeah, maybe.
If I was in this situation. I mean, you only have one Ash. And you're also pitching a sand cover. So, or no, you pitched a sand cover earlier to play for Kyloria.
I mean, pitching the sand cover when you're on one Ash makes sense, I think, because you kind of don't want to go down to 0 if you can avoid it. So, I see that
We'll see
play.
if Ben has a follow up. I mean,
Nimblism isolate for 4. What is he planning?
I think it's.
He's clearing Mirror
he's
Guy.
going for Mirror Guy.
Yeah.
Smart
Yeah,
move.
this makes some
He
sense
might
to me.
actually be popping Snapdragons here.
Only if he has a follow up.
I guess he doesn't know. All right, so
Yeah.
he's
No.
just arsenaling a card and calling it a day, making slightly inefficient plays just to get rid of the Mirror Guy. Okay, makes sense, yeah.
Sometimes that's what you have to do.
And he now has the Nimblism in the graveyard, so his Nimble Strike is enabled. So that's
Here
actually
comes
not so bad.
Lost in Thought.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mara.
Hate that card. But
Double
he
popper,
does
though.
have the double popper hand.
And now Mara's going to have a hard time arsenaling unless she takes the Command and Conquer. Because it would be paired with an Isolate.
Yep. I'm thinking she probably takes the Command and Conquer here because, like, it's just more playable than the Death Touch. So
Problem is that Shred in that hand is doing nothing now. Since Mara's not going to block the. As long as you know that you have that Shred.
Yep. She's not gonna block that Isolate. So,
No.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't think Talishar gives us some indicator in the chat window, but indeed Command and Conquer was taken from Ben's hand.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't actually show us that for some reason, yeah.
If I'm Ben here, I'm giving up the Shred and just letting him have an arsenal. Coming in with the Isolate into Death Touch, have a Ponder. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, we'll see how he chooses to block.
We know that the Dromai is going to arsenal a card. She's just taking off turns currently to try to develop an Ash.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that Ash deficit that Mara had early on, as we see a down and dirty from Ben's arsenal. So actually a disciplined play from Mara, not attacking with her Kyloria.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, that Ash inefficiency that Mara had to start the game is still here. We see 2 red cards in the pitch zone on this turn cycle.
Yeah, but she's up to like 3 Ash. That's a pretty healthy Ash count, I think, if you're on a very aggressive Dromai list. And
I do think we're going to see some more aggression in this following turn from Mara.
Probably, yeah. Like, she knows what's coming here. She knows it's not disruptive, right?
No.
I mean, sure, maybe she doesn't want to take 8 from this death touch. So she might be looking to block just to
but
preserve some
what can
life.
she do to really stop it?
Maybe she has
I
a
mean-
sand cover, D-react in Arsenal. There's a couple options here, but
I don't want to give up Ash right now. I mean, you need all the
Mhm.
Ash you can get. If I was at like 4 or 5 Ash, maybe.
yeah,
Yep,
but if
still
she takes
conform, but-
if she takes the full 8, she goes down to 18. That starts getting a little bit dicey, to be honest. Depending on what Ben
But you have
draws.
a full 5-card hand.
Sure,
you
yeah.
have plenty of
sure.
Ash. I think you're in a fine spot if you're Mara right now.
Mhm.
Sure, 8 damage sucks, but what can you
Yeah.
do?
I can imagine this game looking actually very good for Ben if that rabble shows a red.
Yeah, that blue flip was painful, but that's the
If I'm
downside
Ben
of
right now,
running
I'm
Rebel.
just praying I have a popper.
Mhm.
Because Kyloria on the board, Mara has a 5-card hand.
Mhm.
I just need a popper.
Yeah.
He's got 15 in the list for a reason. And of course, Down and Dirty could be an option from the Ponder token, though we have seen 2 of them.
I wouldn't rely on
Random Ramble
Down
again.
and Dirty coming back for a little while.
Oh, has he
And-
pitched one?
No, but 2 out of 3 is gone. It's just like
Yeah.
kind of unrealistic that he has another one at this point. So we'll see.
Invoke Yendrai being revealed from the top of the deck.
I mean, Mara's list is possibly the one list in the game at the moment that has a higher chance of, flipping a red to Rabble than Ben's. So,
It's probably 100%, knowing how Mara likes to build Dromai.
I mean, we already saw her running Passing Mirage, so she
Oh,
has
fair
at
So
enough.
least
she only runs 3 blues.
3
that's
blues,
about it.
probably 2 to 3 blues, and that's about it. Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I mean,
So
you
the
don't.
open
Imagine
Really,
she
line-
runs 3 versus Uzuri.
Mhm.
Just because Uzuri is very pop happy.
True, makes sense.
Not as much as Bravo, for example, but if Uzuri does get the chance to pop, she will take it.
So Ben, again, with the question of raw damage, looks like he'll be taking this 4.
I think you just gotta hope that there's a dragon coming somewhere and you can pop it and end the turn that way. Get rid of this Caloria maybe.
If I'm Ben right now, I'm thinking, is there a chance where I can pivot from focusing less on the dragons to going more face? And
I think
the fact that I'm seeing a lot of raw damage,
Mhm.
it's making me a lot more happier to try to make that pivot to
I think
going
this is,
more all face.
Yeah, this is the turn where you kind of want to do that simply because
Yeah, 5 cards
she's
in hand.
around 20 or actually 18, right, with the Blood Rod resolving, because I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
she's not gonna, have the pitch necessary to get rid of that.
Exactly.
And so I'm thinking that he
18
might
with a
pivot
good
here.
hand is that
18 is
point.
definitely something where you can start just ignoring the board, especially when there's no real board to speak of, right? Like there's one dragon in play right now. That's not
that
the worst.
dragon is scary though.
True,
But
sure,
if-
absolutely, yeah. But
I have a popper for it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see it.
Okay,
Okay.
Furnace activation, pitching the Phoenix Flame. This is kind of the strategy that Mara was an early champion of back
Yeah,
in probably around Pro Tour 3. Rake the Embers from hand. Board is a lot more scary all of a sudden.
Yep, 100%, yeah. Making 3 Ashwings again, and then
And
Yeah.
suddenly
Oh,
I'm
yeah, okay.
rethinking every decision I've made.
Yeah.
now.
So
Yeah.
Kyloria from Arsenal is the reason that Mara took the Command and Conquer on the prior turn cycle. She wanted to set up a play like this. Her hand was kind of perfect for it.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a pop.
Yeah. Ben's going, all right, I gotta pop this. And I think if I'm Ben here in this situation,
I still think you go all face.
You have to go all face and just hope you draw a popper every turn and that Dromai doesn't get to develop a Mirror Guy. I think that's like...
Exactly.
That's your out here.
If Dromai develops a Mirror Guy, you're done. Hit the bricks.
I mean, to be honest, if Dromai develops a Mirror Guy in this situation, you can still pop the second dragon, right? Like, you kind of have to get rid of the Kylorias.
You have 2 Kylorias on the field.
That's the issue. That's the issue right now. The Kylorias are awful, yeah. So let's see what he does.
Go again from E-Strike.
Yep.
If I'm Bet right now, I'm trying to find a way to use that Snapdragon Scalers effectively.
100%, yeah.
It's down to 16.
Ace is the place. Leave no witnesses.
And witnesses.
Yep.
This is why I really want right now in this board state. I need silver so much.
Yep.
Because
so
it's insurance for Kyloria.
Yep. Stops the card draw.
All for deck
really
is going to be red. So.
Really good, really good. And I could see Mara being tempted to, block with the Furnace here maybe and a card just to stop it. But if Ben has a Shred, he can punish that play like a lot. This would be a prime...
Losing Furnace while you have 2 Ash is really ill-advised, however.
Yeah, exactly.
We did see in the calling coverage, I believe it was Ben's top 8 opponent, there were some turn cycles that Dromai player gave 6 block on a Leave No Witness precisely for the reason, I believe, of denying silver. Here we see a similar situation. No Arsenal for Mara, and yep, she's going to go for it. Try to deny the silver.
Now, Ben, does he have the Shred?
Let's see.
Mara actually has an out to the Shred with Silken Form.
I need the silver if I'm Ben right now. I just need a Kyloria insurance.
Yeah, she has an out in the form of the Silken Form, but then she also doesn't have a turn. But then you have
no go again on your dragons.
Yeah. So this
is
kind of interesting.
And if I'm Dromai, I want that Silken Form for Flick Knight's insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, also true. So if Ben has a Shred, he forces a really interesting decision point for Mara. Curious to see. Kind of hoping he does have
also be an interesting decision point for Ben as well if he flicks after the Silken Form pops.
Yeah,
force
that is interesting. I would hedge against flicking because with a Tunic up, a single blue can kill one of these Kylorias. But we'll see what he does. Or see if he even has the Shred to begin with. So much speculation. We're on the edge of our seats, man.
Flicking in this matchup is such a tough decision because it can be so impactful, and we saw that in the quarterfinals match Ben had against Dromai. He was flicking really aggressively into those sand covers, right? At a point in the game where the Dromai was still on like 18 life or something, 15 or 18. And he flicked away the second dagger, right?
You need to take it.
Sand cover flicked is just, it's like
and no Shred.
Okay, he does not Shred. So either he doesn't have the Shred or he prioritizes the Arsenal here. Interesting. And now it's the Burn Them All. That's also going to create a headache for Ben.
For Ben right now, it's just all headaches.
He's still hoping to have a popper here because if he doesn't, he's looking down a barrel of damage on this turn.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay.
I don't think he has it.
Or maybe he's baiting. Maybe he's baiting the Kyloria here.
I don't think it's worth the debate. I don't think he has it.
Probably. I don't know. It could be worth it. Okay, he does not have it now.
Is he giving up armor?
Ooh,
he is giving up the
he's
flicks.
Giving the flicks. Okay, that's rough. That is really rough because that means like Mara now has free reign, right, to just do whatever she wants to him. She can play sand covers. She can play sink billows if she's even running.
She can use that Silken Form however she wants now.
Yeah,
or not.
Ben's tanking a bit on that block. He was like, "Do I do that?"
Ben knows he cannot give up that flick.
Committing the flick here is
rough. He is.
Oof.
This is
especially because there's another Kyloria coming, right?
Yeah.
Like,
this is why I wanted that silver so badly.
Yeah. Ooh, that is harsh. That is harsh.
Poor Ben. I would loathe to be in this situation here. Ben needs a small miracle to take it back from here.
Yeah, I wonder if having played through this situation now, he might make a different decision with the shred. I feel like it's telegraphed. He spent so long on that reaction step. It
Yeah,
must
I
be.
agree.
Especially
Burn them all
since,
is
like, arsenaling a shred when the opponent's on 16 is also a little bit dicey, right?
Especially with your Crown Providence. You have no way to fix your arsenal. And you're giving up the chance to make silver
To be
when
fair-
there's 2 colors on the field.
To be fair, he knows he only has like 1 codex left in the deck, right? So keeping the arsenal clean is, like, I would say, a little less important than if you knew you were still seeing 2 or 3 codices, right?
Problem is, this is also Redline Dromai, where she rarely blocks.
True.
Yeah, I think Ben still has some outs to win this game, though. If Mara doesn't see a mirror guy in the next 2 turns, Ben can steal back some tempo. We'll see if he has any aggression to go for this turn, or if he just wants to clear the board.
Ben just needs disruption. Any way he can get it.
I think he
Faris
kind of
bite?
has he kind of has to take care of the Calorias at this point, or just go, okay, I'm just hoping I see a popper, and that's like my game plan here. Could be.
Face is the place.
Going for face, interesting.
No, I
I
kind
think
of
he's
get
just
it.
given up.
No, I think he's just going like, right, I need to, hope that I draw
No, he's
the
given
popper.
up on dealing with
clearing.
the
Yeah,
Ashwings.
yeah.
He's definitely just trying to push damage however he
And
can.
here comes the Nimble Strike. 5 go again.
Yep.
Nice. Definitely solid.
So what I
with
would
that
say
Spider's
is,
Bite in play too, which makes Mars blocks either you block it or you take everything that's coming at you.
Yep, absolutely. And she does
Or
block
you
it.
block 2.
She just gives the block here, I think, to give herself the option to block anything else a little more efficiently, right?
Yeah. You
So-
also use up the Spider's Bite if you do
Exactly.
block
That's
those.
the idea, right? So now,
Yeah.
if she gives the attack action here to block, she's free to block any disruptive hits that come later in the chain without having to worry about the bad value, right? That's not so bad.
The question is, what is in that arsenal? If it's a stealth card,
I think for Ben,
Ben
the
has
chance of it being a shred is
sort of-
like...
yellow death touch or something like that, maybe?
No,
So
Ben's not on yellow death touch anymore. Not in
Oh,
this
really?
list, I think. It's not in there.
either it's a shred,
Then it can't be a
or
popper.
he could have also been considering a Snapdragon's play.
Okay,
Um,
right. True.
If he had exactly Codex of Frailty, I think there's no question he does Snapdragons last turn.
Yes,
100%.
exactly.
100%.
So it's probably not that.
Especially with Tunic on 3, right? He can just grab a death touch. Definitely, yes.
And with Mara having no arsenal.
Yeah. 100%.
Mara drops down to
Mara
10.
down to 10.
Okay. Here's an infect, also interesting. That is
We're gonna
from
see-
hand, though. So that's
from
like he
hand.
can't swap into it. But she's
Red
still
Infect is still 0
5
3.
damage.
It's a 0 for 5. Yep.
And she's
And-
giving
Alright,
the
Ben,
blocks
show me
here.
something good.
And if he does
The
have the
crazy
shred
part
here,
about
that's
this
pretty
endgame-
massive.
We have both players on still a Snapdragon Scalers. We could have a flurry of blows to close this out. What's Ben doing here?
So the thing is, even if he has the shred here, she can still deny it with the silken form, right?
Exactly.
to feel
and
good about
there's
that,
the
though.
shred.
There's the shred. Yeah, okay. So he was arsenaling that the last turn, thinking he would get more value out of it. All right.
See, but it cost a whole card to activate Silken Form.
does.
That's a pretty big cost. Shred
does.
turning into a whole card.
And I mean, he still
It's
gets
good.
rid of the furnace, right? Like,
Yeah.
even if she uses silken form here, the furnace is still gone.
Yeah. Yep, no Silken Form. That makes sense. She's not going to spend a whole card on it.
Yep. Okay.
Just like that, Dromai is staring down
Dropping
7
to
life
9.
total.
probably... Ooh, the tome. Okay, that's pretty big. That is pretty big here, actually.
Yeah, and here's another reason why Mara couldn't go for the Silken form. This tome requires a lot of cards in your hand for it to work.
True.
We see, ironically, a double Asvali again. Remember, the deck has been shuffled by Flamecall Awakening, which also comes out here.
Yes. Kind of interesting to see that she's not prioritizing the Asvali's here, because I think at this life total, the arcane damage starts becoming like a legitimate win condition.
Exactly.
Yeah. We'll see if her hand has somehow even more aggression than that.
Possible, yeah. Okay, he just takes the Flamecall Awakening, makes sense. Follows
have
it with
this
a snatch.
is a difficult decision.
This is a snaps.
Do you let her draw?
That's a snaps, 100%. Yep. And maybe
Going down to 6.
Maybe he has a sink
This is
here?
bad for Ben.
He does not have the sync. I wonder if he
Any of
actually
Mara's cards.
boarded in any of the defense reactions. I think you don't in this
As
matchup,
Uzuri,
right?
he'd never board in D-React versus
Yeah.
Dromai.
They just clunk you up a little bit, but...
Yeah, they clunk you up.
And
No,
the Mirage
yeah.
guy.
This is the last thing I want to see as Ben Dodd.
Yeah.
Mirage
Yeah.
guy.
That is rough. That is extremely rough. Yeah,
If
I
I'm
think...
Ben right now, I'm just trying to look for any way I can get out, but I don't see any.
Yeah, same. I don't think there's anything he can do here, really.
Has to give another card draw unless he wants to sacrifice Tunic, which he doesn't.
Nope, he does not. He's still valuing that.
He's on a
tunic.
4-turn timer, too. Either way. Not
Which
to mention
is-
all
which
the
is why-
back actions.
Why? Maybe Mara was just like, I don't need these Asvali's to win here. I could see that. And
Yeah,
if she has drawn a couple of physical attacks here that aren't dragons, she can play around the fact that Ben might have a popper here for the next Caloria. Yeah.
E-Strike, what's coming
absolutely.
in?
Wow.
5
I think
again.
Mara has had two
Definitely.
hands this game that just tried to deny everything Ben was going for. And they both
Absolutely,
did
yeah.
Flamecall Awakening.
Problem is, Ben got 0 disruption off this entire game, which does suck for him.
Yep. Yeah, Ben's just looking to, like, I think the last card in his hand is probably a popper, and he's just looking to, you know, stay alive at this point. Yep.
I don't
So
think
she's-
staying alive is going to really help
Yeah.
him here. He's on
No,
a
no,
3-turn
it's not.
timer.
It's
He
not.
is.
He's
I think it's just lights out for Ben.
Yeah. That second tome really sealed the deal, yeah.
Exactly.
And that the blues flip on the rabble, really, that was, you know,
I think
that was backbreaking,
was-
I think. in
Yeah,
that situation.
definitely.
That was absolutely backbreaking. Like, he could have recovered from that brick a little bit, but like this, it's absolutely backbreaking.
Yeah, and from Mara's side here, I think she's played quite well. She's made the game as awkward as possible
Absolutely.
for Ben.
definitely.
And that's her philosophy
And
for
I
the
think
deck,
that's
so.
game right there.
Yeah, the
You need 2
Dromai.
poppers
Yep.
and
yep. Ben
Ben
just
scoops.
Ben just scoops. Yeah, I get it. Like that's understandable. That was a rough one. That hurt to watch. But I mean, if
I agree.
if there's anybody that knows how to play this Dromai deck, it's Mara, right? It's the Empress of Dragons herself. So I think if you
Yeah,
lose
I-
against Mara and Dromai, you don't feel too terrible. You're just like, all right, you know, that's fair.
I think
If
Ben
I'm
will be
Ben right
glad
now,
to have
I'm
this one
just
on.
in pain.
No, I don't think he'll be in pain. I think he'll be glad to have it on camera because there were
Ben
some
just got
important decisions.
unfortunate draws wherever he looked. Everything was just unfortunate for him.
No, I think he had some choices to both smooth over variance and also like force Mara to play his game a little bit more. I don't think it was totally one-sided, so maybe the tapes will reveal.
I don't disagree with it being 100% one-sided, but let's be honest, Mara did have the advantage throughout that entire game.
Yeah, I
With
do
that
think she drew better.
blue
That
rabble.
was yeah. Well, here they are to
Yep.
chat with us.
All right, guys. Oh man, I was feeling for you on that blue flip on the Rabble. That was
I think that was so huge. The blue flip in that was rough.
yeah. That was like really bricked him a lot, I think. Otherwise, I think this would have been a lot closer, definitely.
Oh yeah.
But that
Definitely.
I think this game felt very close for a while until the double Kyloria, and then it starts getting kind of like once the turn where I can just be like, here's double Kyloria and a rig, then it just says you just have to have a popper every turn for the rest of the game, and it gets hard to pressure from there.
Yeah.
Ben, I want your opinion on why you saved the shred instead of playing it on the lead witnesses.
So that was a tough call. Obviously, shredding there gets 1 damage and the silver. And with the double Kyloria out, silver can be very impactful. That's why Mara blocked it.
Which, by the way, that's the worst feeling of having a 6 block of 4 with no arsenal feels so bad. Because I have the double Kyloria, like I need to keep the Kyloria threat alive.
Yeah.
That felt so miserable. I hated it so much.
From my perspective, I was like, if those Kylorias are hitting me, I'm losing this game because I'm behind. And so I went for the riskier line, which is save the shred. I want to get really large value off of it. 3 damage plus an on hit, like Shakedown or Blood Rot.
And
I think that's
saving it did
that's
take
my way to
my
win.
furnace. Like saving the shred cost me my furnace, so like that was very relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, was it at a point where Furnace would have done much during that game?
Furnace would have, even on that turn, if I had Furnace, I could have paid the Blood Rot, like, super easily. So, at the very least...
I do think the silver would have been more important than the Furnace in that situation, though.
But only
taking my Furnace is super relevant. If that game goes any longer than that,
I think both are very
having
relevant.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see both sides.
So I have a question for you, Mara. Spectating here, it seemed like part of your strategy was to set up larger hands. So you're often arsenaling. I think at one point it was a Lost in Thought. At one point it was a Tome, but I think that might have been Force. In any case, these type of hands are pretty hard to get off in the face of like CNCs and Leave No Witness. So is that part of your strategy, or is that just how it lined up this game?
No fear, only face. You kind of have to play this matchup a lot of the times and just say especially like with Tome and Leave No Witnesses both of those cards are significantly weaker on a 4-card hand versus a 5-card hand. Like I could have played that Tome for just to make some ash and just give my go agains and just like had like a kind of middling Tome turn, and like sometimes those turns are fine. And same thing with Lost in Thought, like just kind of playing out Lost in Thought without a lot of pressure to back. Because like Lost in Thought does put me at a disadvantage. Like Lost in Thought costs me 2 cards to take 1 card. Like I am actively going down cards when I play Lost in Thought. So if I'm playing Lost in Thought and I don't have something to back it up with, it's just kind of a waste. So I very much want to be setting up 5-card Lost in Thought turns. And if he doesn't have a CNC or Leave No Witnesses, then like I can set these really big power spike turns. And if he does have them, then then I can kind of make those calls. Like if I have Lost in Thought and he plays the CNC, then if my hand blocks cleanly on the CNC, I can consider blocking it out. If it doesn't, if I lose a Lost in Thought, like I don't want to lose a Lost in Thought, but it's not the end of the world. It's again a card that I want to play on a 5-card hand. So like if I'm blocking out the CNC, I'm probably not playing the Lost in Thought this turn anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of just like saying like I'm just gonna play like you don't have it. If you show it to me, I will make my new assessments then.
Right. And I think the way your deck is constructed, the 5-card hands kind of flow in and out of each other. There are a lot of combinations that actually do quite a lot of work together, as we saw on like the penultimate turn with the Flame Call Awakening. And the way that the deck pressures the popper count out of Uzuri means like you're probably less likely to actually get hit by the disruption, which makes sense.
Yeah, and like I said, that's something else that I think is really big with my game plan into this matchup is I want to eat a lot of damage, like not a lot, but I'm willing to eat an amount of damage in the early game to say like, okay, I'm gonna take some damage, but I'm gonna build a board, and then I'm just gonna IP penalty you for the rest of the game. I'm gonna say for the rest of the game, you just have to give me a card, while like I just get my full hands. And like that was why like you saw there was one turn where there was a line that I was back and forth on. There was a flame call line, where I could have thrown an extra Blaze Headlong just to get some extra vanilla damage, and instead I chose to flame call the Blaze in play the Rake plus a Kyloria, which is a lot less damage on that turn immediately, but just putting 4 more dragons into play just says I'm just getting this many more turns where you just don't get to play a full hand. Because you are very priced into giving me poppers, and giving poppers on Ashlings particularly, which is just like a lot of value for me. Like, if one Rake takes 3 poppers out of his deck, like I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Interesting. Are you up for a rematch? You want to do this again?
Yeah, I'm down for one more.
Yeah, it was super fun.
We still have a bunch of people in the chat here watching this, and I think they wouldn't mind seeing another one. And that was a great game. So
I'm glad that game felt pretty close for most of it.
Yeah, I think up until like I think the first point was really like the blue flip on the Rabble.
The blue flip was
that hurts. But
did you see me tanking on that? Because I could feel it. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna hit red. Like I feel it coming, and I was like trying to work out a better line.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I have to go for it.
No, we were discussing it too. I mean, we all saw the same line. We all knew like you had to go for the Rabble play, or you're dead in the water.
Yeah. And like having 3 ponders.
With that Uia too. I definitely should not have attacked. There's like so low value on that Uia. Especially after I'd seen that hand. Like if I just don't attack with that Uia, that hand becomes like a nightmare too.
Yeah.
If it didn't attack with that Uvia, it would have made Ben's hand a nightmare to deal with. Since you have to go for like dagger into down dirty Uvia, maybe.
Yeah. That's fair.
It's real rough.
Yeah, and I just
sucks.
But like classic Dromai player can't resist the no popper hand. Always going.
It gets me every time. Like I know down and dirty exists now, and I see a hand with no popper, and I'm just like, I literally like, I think this is just free, and then I attack and he slams the down and dirty. I'm like, God damn it.
Can't resist it sometimes, you gotta do what you have to do.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, we're Uzuri players. We know all about greed.
Yeah. The face is the place.
I just want to say, humble bad versus Dromai, down and dirty all the way. Anyone who runs humble over down and dirty is trolling.
It's funny you say that. I've been testing humble in the Dromai mirror. Because I think Humble is very good at the Dromai. Specifically, it's a lot better than Mirror though. Like it's not nearly as exciting in the Uzuri matchup. In the Dromai Mirror, Humble is actually very interesting because it kind of forces a block out. Because if you don't block it, then you can't clear each other. You can't like re-clear the board. Like if I go Dragon, Humble, now you either have to block this Humble or like you just don't get to clear my board, and that's real.
It's also a popper as well, so that's also interesting.
Yeah, lessons in degeneracy from the Dromai Mirror side. Here you go, play humble.
Just humble them,
Could we see humble in versus Uzuri in the future though?
God, no, never. Like hard no. That card is a 2-block. As a general rule, in Dromai, I do not like 2-cost 2-blocks because the way my deck works, if I'm ever playing a 2-block, I have to keep a 4-card hand because I want to go 1 cost into Furnace into 2 cost. So I need a 4-card hand to play those 2 costs. So if I ever have to block with anything and I have a 2 cost in my hand, it has to be the 2 cost because otherwise I literally can't play that 2 cost. So as a general rule, all of my 2 costs need to be 3 blocks. And the Dromai Mirror is like the one exception because you just block so infrequently in that matchup in general. So where it's kind of okay to have a 2-block. But other than that, I will almost never play because otherwise I would actually I actually am really high on Destructive Deliberation. I think that card's actually very good. Just because card draw is so powerful in a Redline deck. Just like having a 2 for 5 that just draws, it's just better. Like it's just big snatch.
True. Big snatch that they can't block out, right? Because it's like at least not as efficiently. So
yeah, that becomes a lot harder to just like give me a piece of armor. Like you have to give me big armor for.
Yeah.
But because that card is a 2-block, it just is never going to make the cut.
Right.
All right. How do we're gonna the rematch button is not yet, so.
Probably it's best if you just start a new game because I think rematch on Talishar can get really buggy real quick.
Cool.
So, are we gonna have to redo all of the screen share?
I mean, we can try it. Like, just actually, I can see.
Sure, it's been working. It's been working so far this morning.
Yeah. Can you actually hit rematch? Because I can hit rematch for some reason, but I'm pretty sure it won't do anything.
Well, no, maybe you should because I can't. So
I can't. I can't either. Actually, you're right.
So I can click it, but it doesn't do anything. So I think we're gonna have to just
make a new one.
Start a new game. Yeah.
Okay.
So bear with us, guys, for 1 or 2 minutes while they set up a new game. And in the meantime, if anyone in the chat has any questions, feel free to just put them out there.
Yeah, we do, in addition to having specialists here, have a calling champion and a Pro Tour runner-up, so, don't be shy.
Wait, you have a Pro Tour runner-up?
Yeah, I wonder who that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, it's not me. I think I would have noticed.
Best I ever did was...
Did you get second at Pro Tour? That's pretty sweet.
No. I think I came second in a calling, beaten only by Dash.io.
You did come second in a calling, and then you came first in a calling, right? So I don't know. That didn't make sense.
I do feel really bad. I feel really bad because I was watching that calling final, and I was like, "Go Ben!" But also, I really want to see this Dash win the calling.
Yeah, I was definitely the villain.
Honestly, imagine if Thomas had actually gone 15-0.
Right.
Everyone wanted it to happen, and I'm sitting there like, nah,
man.
Yeah, that was his crop top.
Not today, mate.
Runner of Dash's dreams.
Yep.
Dude. I also wanted to see Uzuri win too. Like, Uzuri winning the calling is so justifying.
It was overdue. Let's be honest.
So much shit to Uzuri.
And I mean, honestly,
it's such a Dromai heavy meta.
Honestly, I cannot think of a better person to win that calling on Uzuri than Ben. Let's be real here. Basically the first guy to put out a decent working Uzuri list, right? And then he takes that Uzuri list and changes it and puts it through the iterations and all of that. But it's still the same Redline deck, right? And he actually takes that to a calling thing. I thought I was fantastic, right? I was really rooting for him.
Let's be honest, Ben kind of built a community on his back. I mean, half of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Ben.
That's true.
I mean, I literally wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Ben.
In that case, I'll be the one to take credit for his success then, because nobody else wants to.
All right, that's fair.
Thank you.
That's fair.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
It was a group effort.
Yeah, it was. I feel like our hive mind over here for Uzuri is really good at sharing the wealth of knowledge.
Yep. shout out to
And-
Uzuri chat. Like,
Shout out.
between all of the cat pics and, you know, the horny posting and stuff, there's actual quality Uzuri content in there.
Dude, I love Uzuri chat.
Just have to
Uzuri
take a
chat is
bit.
Uzuri chat's the only chat that I ever go into aside from Dromai chat.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they could not be more different, in my opinion.
No.
Right? Like, they're very... If you go into Dromai chat versus Uzuri chat, they are really radically different in, like, the just general vibe and, you know, atmosphere.
Yeah.
Can
Dromai chat listens to me.
Can I play first this game? Swap it around.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Should we redo the game?
I'll just make it on just because we'll alternate makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't. Can we manually do that? I don't know if we can.
I don't think so, but like whoever wins, you know, just sets it up so that.
Oh, that's
goes
true. Yeah,
first,
so we'll just
like,
So just set up a new game. I'll leave this one. Set up a new game, and then I'll just choose to go second if I win. That's way smarter than my plan of just re-rolling the dice 1,000 times. I was like, oh yeah, I can just choose to go second. I've never considered that option here.
I mean, I think it's not something you would want to do regularly in this matchup, so I get it.
No.
I think it is interesting, though. It shows how much play Uzuri does have in the matchup. You know, Mara started with a turn 1 rake, and the game was still not... The victor was not decided until probably 2 turns until the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not as one-sided as people make it out to be. It's definitely Dromai favor, like no questions about it. But I think
it's an uphill battle.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. But I think any Dromai pilot that just goes, yeah, Uzuri's a free win, right? Like they do that at their own risk, basically.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's basically everybody going to Worlds, actually.
I mean, I'm pretty sure like the actual professionals, you know, do have some amount of respect for Uzuri, but I mean,
none, bro. No one respects.
Not enough to play her.
Video covering Uzuri.
Dude, all I'm saying,
disrespect her.
All I'm saying is going into Baltimore, nobody respected Dromai.
That's true.
Yeah.
Same for Uzuri.
Dromai was
Story now,
disrespected.
baby.
Dromai was disrespected for the longest time. That's true. Yeah. Like especially your version of it, right? Like everybody, I think people were coming around to like the big dragon Dromai lists. They were like, yeah, this is a fine way to play the deck that works, right? But Redline is kind of like, it's like Dromai in easy mode for like new players that want to, you know, start with the deck basically. But it's not a good version of the deck to take to a competitive event. I think that was like the general idea that people had about Redline or like Empress Dromai, whatever you want to call it.
Dude,
but
people still had that after I took second at a Pro Tour with the deck.
I think now basically the idea behind it, or like the thought behind it, is like, yeah, it's still not a great deck unless you're Mara Faris. I think that's kind of like they add that right after.
Is that the caveat now?
I think it kind of is, to be honest. Like at least that's the like whenever somebody talks about it, I think people are like, yeah, if you're Mara, you can make it work, you know, at a high level competitive event, but that's because, you know, you've been playing that deck exclusively for, I don't know, what, over a year by now?
Very, very close. So, like, depending on what you define as Empress, it's been fair. So, I started building Empress after Worlds last year.
Right.
But even Worlds last year, I was experimenting with weird Dromai builds. The list I ran last year was a big dragon list, but ran a bunch of chain. So like this is also like back then, like people just didn't even run stuff like Snatch or E-Strike or any of that. Like they just didn't run chain enders like at all. And so I ran Snatches and E-Strikes and Coax a Commotion in my big dragon list. Because neat trivia, dragons don't consume Quicken tokens.
Yeah, it makes sense because they're not weapon or attack actions.
Yeah. So I built a deck that could set up to where like I can throw a Coax and get a Quicken, and then sit on it for like 3 or 4 turns until I find a Snatch or an E-Strike.
Okay.
That's hot.
Yeah.
That is
That's
That is
pretty
evil.
spicy. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, that was actually pretty cool. And I was pretty happy with that list, but it was still just like not. So like that was like very clear, like the earliest seeds of like, okay, maybe there's something more to a more like aggressive, an aggressive Dromai.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went home after that, and like a couple of weeks after that, I'd been brewing for a little bit. A couple of weeks after that, Flake messaged me about Goliath Gauntlet, and he was like, "Hey, we want you on this Goliath Gauntlet thing. It's going to be a bunch of big show matches. Can you bring something spicy?" And
Say
and
no
I had,
more.
and I had already I just very recently found Flame Call Awakening,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right, I think I've got some spice. So then I set to work on the deck, and I literally built it just because I wanted to do it as like a show match thing. But like the more I kept working, I was like, no, I think this deck's good.
Right.
And
So-
played it in Goliath Gauntlet, and then just sort of the rest was history.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like the first time we met at ProQuest
Mm-hmm.
for Pro Tour 3. You're on the Dromai list. How far
Yep.
was it during that?
That was after Goliath Gauntlet, but not much longer. Much after that. So Goliath Gauntlet was end of January, and then I think ProQuest season was like February, March. So I think I've been.
It was in January.
Was it January?
It's January 14th is when we met. I remember that day well.
So yeah, so then it must have been variant. So it was like, yeah, that's right. Because I think I remember ProQuest season started like right after my first Goliath Gauntlet aired. I think it was like the beginning of January.
Sounds
Yeah.
about right. Like I remember going to ProQuest, and it was like one of the, I think, 3 days or so where it actually snowed here in Germany. And I remember, like, we drove past like 3 or 4 car crashes. It was insane. Like
Oh,
there
wow.
was
Oh,
really,
geez.
really heavy snow for Germany, right? And then people just couldn't fucking handle it, right? They were just, several cars really crashed, and we were just driving really slowly and just trying to get to the ProQuest in time. And we got there with like, I think 5 minutes to spare or something. That was pretty interesting. Yeah. I decided to bring Levia, so yeah, that didn't work out too well for me, but
Classic bench things.
yeah, I don't learn.
Anyway, should we start the match?
Yeah, let's do so. Yeah.
All right, are we all good? You guys can see hands and everything.
Yep, we can see
Um,
everything.
Yep, we're good to go.
Oh, looks like Ben
Okay.
actually needs a couple
Ben
minutes.
needs a couple minutes. That's fair.
All right, cool. We can.
All right,
we
let's
can,
keep
we
gossiping
can,
then.
we can gossip. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so I
Um,
have a gossip question. So Mara, you're now wolf packing,
Yeah.
or packing wolves, or something like that.
Packing wolves.
Awu. Awu.
Awu, indeed.
Yeah. So do you?
You're
have
really going to
anyone...
woo right in front of me, guys?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Let
okay,
me
so
show you a good woo.
Do it.
The
You
real
won't.
question is,
Ooh!
All right.
I didn't think you would do it. Oh wow.
I didn't.
You don't know him too well, I think.
Yeah, I guess not.
Right.
Do you have anyone playing Uzuri in your group? And if so, do you beat them on the regular?
Well, I've only been a member of Wolfpack for 3 days now officially.
Oh, fair enough. Yep. Yeah.
But like, I will say one of the things that has impressed me already about like just the discourse in Wolfpack is Wolfpack has been very surprisingly open to every hero. Like, I have genuinely had conversations about Riptide in Wolfpack chat within like the 3 days that I've been there.
All right.
So like, yeah, I there's absolutely like there's an earnest discussion about every hero. They're a group that is not quick to just go like, oh, this hero sucks, let's just not worry about it.
Okay.
Like,
That's cool.
They're super eager to like discuss strategies and entertain anything. If someone has an idea, they're just like, hey, I want to try this thing. Let's discuss it.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I think it's safe to say that there are absolutely discussions about Uzuri in Wolfpack.
Nice.
All right. Pretty
Interesting.
exciting. We'll be
Good.
waiting for you to win worlds with it then.
100%. Somebody has to.
Nicole.
You know,
I don't
like
think-
like Ben's
I
not
don't think
going. Someone has to.
I don't think
Yeah,
I'm
I
going
would-
to surprise anyone by saying I am probably not playing Uzuri at Worlds this year.
Boo.
I can't speak to the rest of Wolfpack, but I think it's safe to assume that I will not be on Uzuri.
Mara, it would be such a psyop if you then actually turned up with Uzuri and just went like switchbladed. That would be pretty good. All right.
I did actually play. I played Uzuri at a PTI event a couple of weeks, like a month or so ago. I think it was Columbus, the one right after Nationals.
Mhm.
I actually I was just like, I need a break from Dromai, and I broke out my Uzuri deck.
All right.
All right. Let's
Okay.
have
All right,
a
let's start
really
this,
good game.
baby.
Yep.
See you guys on the other side.
All right, ciao.
All right. See you after the game.
Game 2.
All right, game 2.
Game 2.
Ben is on the play.
Uzuri's going first. Yep. And
If I'm Missouri, I always want to be on a play.
oh,
let's
100%.
see.
Yeah, in this matchup,
Ben
yeah.
is running 62 cards, while Mara's running 61, which is interesting. Normally, if you're Uzuri, you always run 60 versus Dromai.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
really want to
maybe-
know what extra cards he's running in his deck.
So
that
if
would
I could take a
justify
guess,
62.
if I
But
could
I'm
guess,
guessing it's Yellow Isolate.
Spreading Plague. That's got to be it. Like, he just wants the extra turn 1.
Oh, yeah. Spreading plague on the
Value.
play. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is a good idea.
Good
too.
call. Good call. Also, we can see a slight change in equipment. Mara being on the draw here, or like, I guess that term doesn't make sense because it doesn't apply to Fab, but not on the play. Chose to run Seeker's Myths over the what's it called?
Silken Form.
Silken
Silken
Form that
Form.
we saw in the last game, which makes perfect sense because Seeker's
Yeah.
Myths is just it's a good turn 0 play.
Wow,
Gives
the
you an
discipline from Mara. Oh, no, she's taking it back. Okay, so look,
Okay.
the reason I said discipline, or started to,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Dromais will just pop the Seeker's Mitts immediately on this dagger swing. We'll see. Yep, she
Ah,
does.
That's what they
okay.
are.
She does
Yep.
do it.
So, but interestingly, this does leave you up to a dominate play that Uzuri could have. We'll see what Ben's got up his sleeve.
Mara is also pitching to Rake the Embers, which is
I
really
mean,
good for him.
To be fair, there's not that many things that Uzuri can dominate turn 0 that are actually impactful beyond the 3 damage or something. I think pretty much the only one that you can swap in with an isolate is a Death Touch, where you would
Lena
go
Wednesdays and generate early Ash as well.
Yeah,
I guess that makes
early
sense.
silver.
Yeah, but it's not great, I would say. But yeah, getting the silver early is definitely nice.
And Flesh and Blood is a game of inches. We know this, so I think
100%.
it's you leaking 1 more damage or whatever it is on the dominate attack could make a difference in the long run.
Oh, it could. Yeah, absolutely. But,
Definitely.
it's
I
not
do
like
agree with
it's
this.
not like a Bravo where you get dominated by a spinal
And
crit.
Ben with the turn 0 nurturing
and he is
Emphasis.
opening
Oh, boy.
with the high roll. Okay, that's nice. That's
Yeah.
nice. This
This
Six.
is
game,
the
Dominate on hit, draw an extra
Mm-hmm.
card on the start of your turn.
very solid.
he's
Or
got
at
the
the end of your turn.
return bonk after last game. Mara got to start with a Rake the Embers.
Strong. So 3 life down and getting the
An extra
full
card, which is
actual
insane.
6 card hand here because he can still arsenal. He had crucially the 2 blues to make this play work. Very solid.
Very
Very
good.
solid.
And Mara had to block with a passing Mirage.
And a rake. She pitched a rake,
Yeah.
but
Bottom of deck for now.
I mean, to be fair, I think Mara's probably happier to make plays like this than many other Droma lists would be because she's running that Flamecall Awakening.
Yeah,
So she
exactly.
knows she has 3 ways to shuffle her deck that she can play out.
Yeah,
And
this is true.
so that helps a lot, I would imagine. Okay,
Ben just
pitching
not blocking
Burnimal.
any of this. You gotta ask, what does he have in his hand?
Oh, it's got to be go again. He's got some real
Yeah,
gas.
he has
Some
to have
extenders,
some sort of
yeah,
go
yeah.
again. If he's
Yeah,
just taking all of this.
And that's exactly what you want to see. Dromai's board currently not so hot. Come in with
One
some go
Ash,
again
one
straight
Ash
to
win.
face.
That's good for Uzuri.
Yeah,
That's
man.
just
And so Mara's hand actually is pretty poor for going second. Like she didn't really have too much follow-up here. No incentive to even break the gold token.
Mm-hmm.
And just not swing with their Ash Wing.
I mean, I think in this spot you probably don't want to, because, you know, I don't know, like, probably you can swing it, because if it takes a popper, you know, you took a popper with the Ashwing, and this way Ben's kind of incentivized to just swing a dagger at it, maybe. Let's see what he does.
I mean, yeah, 4 cards in hand, 1 arsenal.
Yep.
Do you even waste a card on an Ashwing?
And he did block with a blue, so he probably does have another for whatever he wants to do with his turn.
Or he just doesn't need a pitch.
Or he doesn't need one. I mean,
this is Redline after all. This is the deck that
Uzuri.
doesn't pitch.
Yep. It's the
5
deck that
go
cheats around
again.
pitch, so let's see what he does.
Yep. Probably see no blocks from Mara until some disruptive threat comes out.
Oh yeah, like, I'm pretty sure she's happy to just go no blocks on the vanilla.
But this is a scary
Nimblism
no block.
Okay,
into
Nimblism. What is coming now? Leave
N
no
N
witnesses.
W.
Oof.
Ugh.
Rough,
Amazing.
rough.
1 card in hand. Is it a shred or is it concealed blade? What could that card be?
I mean, I don't think
Mara
he's
is probably
running.
going
He's not
crazy.
running Concealed Blade, as far as I know. At least he
No,
wasn't
but
at the
It's
calling.
probably some
but
combat trick.
yeah.
It does
Or-
have crown up, so
Or it's just something that he does want to set up in Arsenal, right? Like one of
Could
those
just be a hurl.
down and dirties, for example. Or hurl.
it
Only
could be
go again.
anything.
I think
As
actually
far as Mara knows,
arsenaling a go again card into
it is
Dromai
smart here, but
is really important sometimes, and that's a really disciplined heads-up play to not, you know, just immediately slam those rabbles, slam those hurls. But, you know,
I mean,
you
Ben
go
might be undisciplined when it comes to flick knives. He
I al-
knows when an Arsenal go
True,
again card.
yeah. But he already threatened 12 damage with an on-hit on his turn.
Exactly.
Adding the hurl to make it 15 is kind of, you know, when you could use it next turn to get rid of like a Chromai, get rid of a Kaloria, pitch a dagger and use it to get rid of a Mirror guy is just.
Now, what does
a
Mara
better play
do here? You have to block with 3 cards to
Yeah.
deal with this.
Mara has some strange options, I would say. The reason they're weird is because of what she just talked about with how she tends to play the deck. If she's got a 2 cost in hand, it's a 4-card play, so you can't
True.
block, etc., etc. Let's see. Yeah, a 9 block.
She
Wow.
gives
She gives the
9.
9. Let's see.
That's
if
just
And I'm
amazing
seeing a
value.
Chroma, an E-Strike, Enderite. I'm happy to see all these cards gone.
Yeah, just dream star for Ben.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, the high roll opening with the nourishing is so big. Okay, she
Whoa,
does have
tome on 1 card.
Tome on 1 card is interesting, but she could just be looking to make some ash here, honestly. Yep.
Yeah, that's
And
all it
she
did.
bricked.
Just ash generation, play out the passing, you know, take a turn off, set up a little bit. It's not the end of the day.
Yeah, and Tome of Imperial Flame, read that second line of text. If you don't pitch 2 red
Yep.
cards to its ability,
Yes.
you banish your hand.
To be fair, I think the chances of her drawing 2 blues in that spot were astronomically low.
She did draw a blue, which
She
does
did draw
kinda
1
suffer.
blue, yeah. But
Yeah,
I think
it forces
it's not
her
a
play.
it's not a blue that she's necessarily like unhappy to see in this situation.
Now let's see. Does Ben take the up turn to pop the Ashwing, pop some other stuff,
He does pop the
or is he
Ashwing.
going to? But he's going to pop the passing Mirage. Is that the question?
I mean,
Yeah,
I would
I tend
imagine
to-
he
I
probably
tend to
has
just give
more
some random stealth
extenders.
card to the passing.
Yeah, that's usually the most efficient way to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Has the
Rabble
rabble,
Veil,
flips
yellow
a yellow.
isolate.
I
He
mean,
is not having a good luck.
hey,
with
if we're doing a
Rabble
3rd
today.
game, maybe he starts revealing reds. Let's see.
So that's 0-2 on Rabble feeling a red.
Hmm
That sucks.
Sadly, yeah.
It
Yep.
looks like Tom was right on passing on the spreading plague.
Clears the passing, Arsenal something. Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, if
interesting
I'm-
choice from Ben. He had an extra card in hand, so I wonder if
Yeah.
it was a stealth or not. Because Spider's Bite at face is just free damage if you're going to throw that stealth at the passing.
Exactly.
I mean,
Knowing Ben, it could be a misplay, but
let's see. I mean,
either way, decent play.
Dazron, you're not wrong.
And
yeah,
Command
like,
and Conquer.
a lot of people are gonna play Dromai now, just
Yeah.
because she's so strong.
Well, so this
And-
is an interesting line here from Mara. Not attacking with the Kyloria, dodges a popper, but if Ben was
Do you
setting
just
up a
crowd
stealth card in his
Providence if you're
arsenal,
just Ben here
I mean,
and just save yourself the trouble?
could
well,
be.
no, not necessarily. Like if Ben was setting up a stealth card in arsenal, then Ben
He
doesn't
does
have
have
to
a
use
stealth
his
card in his
popper on
hand.
his
We
hand.
saw that with the Rabble flip.
Yeah, so like Ben could very easily have a disruptive turn cycle here without needing to use a popper on the Kyloria. We'll see what he's got.
The question is if he has a turn cycle that can extend past, the disruptive card. So if his turn is just like isolate into, whatever, I can see him just blocking 6 here and saving the crown. Just because he cannot realistically extend his hand efficiently. He might also be looking to just go, okay, block with the crown, maybe take 4, use those 2 yellows to just kill the Kyloria with daggers. It's inefficient, but it gets the job done.
Hey, I just want that Kyloria out of here. If I have to take 4 and give him my crown, I'm doing it.
And then just,
That would be my line.
Yeah.
So he has another line that doesn't use the crown, where he just blocks the Command and Conquer and kills the Kyloria, and we're basically back to the same turn cycle, except there's no Kyloria on the board, which obviously is good.
4 ashes. I don't think you want to take that line, though.
Yeah, 4 ash is a pretty healthy ash count for a Redline Dromai to sit at, so...
Exactly.
I think you want to take advantage of her not having dragons in this spot as long as you can, because she's gonna draw into, like, Rakes, into Uvia.
So I want to point out something here, if I can here. Mara still has her gold token. She hasn't cracked it yet.
Yep.
And she has 4 ash. What is she going to use that gold on? Is
Probably,
she going to pop it at all?
Honestly, probably nothing at this point, unless she runs into a situation later in the game where she really desperately needs the ash. I
don't think that's going to happen, though.
Sometimes you
She's
just
already
have
ash
turns.
healthy.
I think sometimes you just have games where you can't use the gold. It happens, I think.
I'm no Dromai expert. I just want to point that out for the audience.
Yeah, I think if Mara was living on the edge, she might not bring Crown of Dominion in this matchup, or at least going second, and just say like, look, I'll play Crown of Providence, have extra block, deny your arsenal disruption, and maybe I'll get enough ash with my tome and my Flame Call Awakening.
But that makes okay. In the past, that could have worked, but with the new Tome of Bale of Flame, you do need to be royal.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Full effect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, wow. I just sort of put that out of my head because I figured the card was no downside, but that is definitely one of them. You have to play Crown of Dominion.
Yep, that is true. Okay, so Ben going for the line of pitching 2 yellows to clear the Kyloria, and then just sending the CNC at face for, raw 6 damage.
And here comes tome number 1.
Yeah, but Ben just like makes it out of that turn 9 life in the lead, which is something.
That's pretty big, actually. Like
5 cards in hand too, or 5 cards with an arsenal.
We're starting to approach that territory where Uzuri can start to ignore the board and just really focus on bringing the Dromai's life totals down to the single digits. And
Uzuri does need decent turns, though.
True, yeah. You need to draw some extenders. You need to draw some go again. You need to make those Snapdragon Scalers really, really count. That's a key card in the matchup, I think.
So what I really want to see on my deck, if I'm Ben right now, is a Death Touch that I can get off of Isolate, and a Coax of Frailty.
Oh,
Send some of
that would be huge.
Ben's strongest lines involve Snapdragon Scaling, Death Touch.
Like Isolate, Death Touch, Snapdragon's Codex is such a strong 3-card hand that is like borderline.
Especially with your Tunic.
With the Tunic up, up. Like you need to have Tunic. I mean, you can turn it into a 4-card hand if you don't have Tunic up and a blue, and you just dagger, right? makes
Exactly.
it turn even nastier. But
Mara
yeah.
pitching a Yunderai and thinking, what else should she pitch?
Yeah, I have to say, watching experienced Dromai players choose how to navigate these tome turns is pretty interesting. Like I think the skill ceiling for casting tome is up there.
Oh, 100%.
Lost in
Yeah.
thought. Let's see.
Okay. So we
Nimblism,
do have...
backstab, taking.
Yeah, she's taking the Command and Conquer every day of the week here. I think that's not even close.
No, she should.
Yeah. Activating
Let's
the
see.
Furnace,
Practical.
getting another 2. Probably looking to play maybe okay, Rake. Sure. Makes sense. She's swimming in Ash. She doesn't main playing the Rake here. Caloria 2. And
Okay.
now leading with the Ashwing. Yeah, okay.
Good
Does
board
Ben
state
have
out
it?
of nothing.
So if Ben does have the down and dirty in Arsenal here, he might be incentivized to actually let those either Ash... He does, okay.
Yeah.
So the reason to do this is the rest of his hand doesn't threaten too much, so he can just try to pitch his daggers and kill Kyloria.
That makes
So
sense.
what I'm thinking is you pitch the backstab, you activate Tunic, you send them both at Caloria,
Mm-hmm.
then you nibble some Isolate, go to
Isolate
face,
face for 5 dominate. Pretty
Sure.
solid.
Yep. then you ponder, get a card to your arsenal. Boom,
Not
you're
the
done.
worst. Not the worst line, yeah. I mean,
And
obviously
I think that's what
losing
Ben's going to go for here.
the CNC here hurts a little bit, but actually CNC would just be 6 dominate in this spot. So going with the Nimblism line is like just 1 less damage actually in this situation. So I think
Yeah, exactly.
that
And the
turn
fact that you can
cycle
play-
worked out pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And now he's got the Nimblism in the graveyard. Actually, that's already the second one, so he's fine if he ever draws that Nimble Strike.
Thing is, I really want to get a one power attack into my graveyard here.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, Flick Knives can do it, but I don't want to be flicking.
Yeah,
in the
you don't
Dromai
want
matchup
to...
unless I have a good reason. to.
Yeah, you don't want to flick unless you get really good value from it. Because
Exactly,
having those 2
exactly.
daggers is so important for plays like this where you just go dagger into Caloria just to clear it. And once you flick, that play is just gone, right? Like, so you need
Exactly.
to make sure it's really worth it. Sand cover is a good, situation where it's really worth it, for example.
That's like the one reason that could justify flicking.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. What does Mara have?
She had a tough time deciding how to block there. We saw a Flame Call Awakening flashed out. We'll see if she wants to deploy that this turn. Yep, here it comes.
Pitching an Aswai.
Burn them all as well. It makes sense. Ben's at 32. Like, again, he doesn't have any AB here, but if he's at 32, I think that Asvolai is less important maybe to get out right now. Certainly not something you
Cracking
want
gold.
to prioritize. Okay.
Should be
Cracking the
Furnace into gold. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's kind of cute. I haven't seen this before. I mean, obviously the playline is always there, but this is
Yeah,
the first game I've
exactly.
spectated it happening in.
Mara showing us why drawing a card can be good.
Drawing a card is good when your whole deck says go again. That is an advantage Dromai has.
I mean, I think generally any player of any TCG ever would agree that drawing cards tends to be good.
Mira guy, here it comes.
All right.
The question is, can Ben disrespect Mira guy here?
It depends on his
10
hand.
She's at 18. He's at 26.
I think.
Are you at that point in the game where can you push damage?
I think with a 5-card hand, if you have an extender like a Rabble or something, or maybe
Exactly.
you kind of want to try to
You
clear
do
the
have
Mirror guy.
Snapdragons as well. So
I think at this
and
point
you
in
do
the
have
game,
3 Cooks and Frailties in
Yeah.
your deck right now.
I think I would try to clear the Mirror guy in this situation, but if we're talking like one more turn cycle where Dromai is maybe on like 15 or 13 health, I would probably start ignoring it. But I think right now I would be in a position where I'd want to clear it.
Let's just see what Ben does here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ben also having a life lead gives him a lot
So
more
much
flexibility.
agency, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if his hand pushes 15 damage plus a Codex ripping a card out of Mara's hand, maybe he just sends it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Could very well be the play, yeah.
Mara still has the full block on Furnace, so she's at a virtual 20 life.
Mm-hmm.
20,
Ben's at virtually
21.
26.
21, sorry, if you count the
Or
second temper.
no, she's at 20 or 18 if you count the flick knives.
If you count the flick knives. Yeah, we trade life back and forth with the equipment. Very nice.
Yep.
All right, let's see what Ben does here. E-strike,
starts with the
bomb a
E-strike.
card. What is he going to choose?
I could see him clearing the mirror guy. Yep, he does clear the mirror
Perfect.
guy with this, yes. I think that's the correct play here. I think with Dromai at 18, you can't really afford to let the mirror guy stick around, so...
Ben showing us why. And the backstab.
All right.
Backstab with 2 in hand. Okay. So Mara has the ability to try to dodge a swap if she blocks 6. I wonder if Ben has a shred as well that could get around a 6 block.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mara
Of
probably...
course, Mara also has defense reaction / sand cover at her disposal. We'll see if that is relevant.
If she does
If
use a
I'm
sand
Ben
cover
right
here,
now,
I
if he
think
does sand cover, I'm flicking that.
you're flicking
100%
here, yeah.
of the time.
This is a good spot to use the flick,
Okay.
I think, yeah.
And we
Reaction
both
step.
know Ben is very flick happy.
Let's see what's
I'll never
happening
let
He's
here.
waiting
Put
on
that
it.
down.
Uzuri ability.
All right.
What is it?
Is he going to respond with shred first, though?
Shakedown? Okay,
No.
that's
Shakedown.
pretty big here. That's pretty big.
Is he going to still shred? Still a question.
Sand
Comes with
cover.
sand cover.
Okay.
Resolves.
Pretty
All right,
sure
Ben,
he's
show us the
flicking here.
flicks.
Pretty sure he's flicking here. But
Yeah,
committing
I'm
the
Ben.
dagger is... And a side effect
There
of
it
flicking
is.
here
Flick
is
knives.
you actually turn on that one copy of looking for a scrap, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He flicked the spider
And he
spike,
shreds.
interestingly.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
Amazing. Okay, so flick knives
Oh.
basically is worth 5 damage if you include the dagger.
The dagger doesn't deal any damage here
Oh, right,
that
'cause of the
eats
sand cover.
It eats the
Yeah,
sand
yeah.
cover, yeah. But
So just 4 then.
Mhm.
Incredible
So-
value.
I'll always choose red, but the question is, do you take the mirror guy, or do you take the ravenous?
Nah, you take
I
the
think it's
mirror
the
guy,
mirror
I
guy.
think. Mirror guy. If she had a board full of dragons, I would want to maybe take the rabble, but I think getting rid of another mirror guy in this situation is huge because he already
Exactly.
cleared 1, and if he takes this one, she only has 1 left, so that's like 1
And he
card
had
less.
full momentum here.
Taking the mirror guy also leaves Mara open to what I would consider a slight misplay. If she does play the rabble, then all of 3 of Ben's Codex of Frailty are live to rip a card out of her hand.
That too.
True, yeah.
And we do know
Oh, she
Codex
does
Frailty
not.
is
She
coming.
does not have. She has another attack in the
takes
graveyard
the
already.
rabble, interestingly.
Okay.
Yeah,
I disagree with that, but
so
it's not wrong.
I think part of it as well. Like Mara's at 12. If she's keeping a hand to develop this mirror guy, then she has to take damage to do it. So
Exactly, yeah.
I don't think Ben could have made a poor choice there.
She's
No, I mean,
arsenaling
both
it
choices
here.
were correct, but let's just see what happens. Hurl, we go again. Classic.
Love to see it.
Definitely interesting choice here. Going for the mirror guy. I guess I can see it because you're starting to approach that territory where you don't really care about mirror guy anymore.
That too.
Ben definitely has those windows in his head. He knows what he's looking.
Could this be a potential Snapdragon's turn?
That's a decent thought. If Ben does have a swap target for this isolate, I don't think he really needs to do the snaps. We'll see.
That too.
You just swap and then arsenal, or maybe it's another shred, and then if she blocks, you can punish that.
We
And I
haven't seen a
think-
Coaster Frailty yet. It is coming.
That's true. I think at 9 life, potentially down to like as low as 3 if she doesn't block here, you're also happy arsenaling a shred.
Yep.
That's definitely a situation where you just go, okay, I'm fine. Arsenal. Yep, there's a shred. Nice. Okay. So
Now
I'm
it's just
guessing
Snapdragon Scalers.
he
it
just.
could be snaps.
Or
What's he doing?
An undo. Oh, maybe he is gonna do the snaps. Yeah. So shred kind of it's doing a cosplay as maybe just
3 damage.
2 for 6
plus
here.
3, yeah.
Yep.
So I know what's in Mara's arsenal. We all do. It's Mirror Guy. We need Lena Witnesses to get that out of there. Mara's at 6. She needs to block. No question.
Yeah, but wouldn't you, like, if he has a leave no witnesses, wouldn't you rather go isolate, she blocks, Snapdragons, leave no witnesses, and then leave up the shred? So she has to block, and then you can shred that. I think that would be the better play.
You would rather. So this must be a codex.
I agree with that, but this.
I mean,
does
if it's a
damage.
codex, obviously he can't keep the shred, so the play makes sense.
Exactly. Or no,
so-
you discard the isolate.
You could
You keep the
discard the
shred.
isolate, keep the shred, but I think at this situation, just, pushing an extra 3 damage is also worth it. Just because 6 is such a low life total to go to,
It's 6 to 22. Ben's in a really good spot.
Yeah, and here's one of those scenarios where drawing a shred from the ponder would just be a total blowout.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
That would be a pretty big win here, yeah. Okay, and a Chromite to back up that Mira guy, that's pretty big.
Mara's
Yeah,
at 6 life. I think it's too little too late for her.
I'm sure Ben will tell us his reasoning for allowing Mara to keep the mirror guy, but this is definitely looking like a board state that can get her back in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Ben's at 5 cards. I don't think... And he's about to have Tunic too, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just Chromite's action points are so good at stopping the popper counterplay.
Yeah.
Mirror Guy,
like-
Dromai.
I think the ideal card to have here for Ben would be a Hurl. Just clear that Chromite with the Hurl and then ignore the
No,
Mira guy.
it's way too low on life. You just go face.
I mean... I
We'll
guess,
see what Ben does have.
but this is dangerous territory, because if Dromai is allowed to have a board that has like Chromite and Mira guy on it for several turns and a burn them all, that's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, so I think what's to be said about Colin's point is that Mara's on a more aggressive Dromai list, has fewer block 3s.
True.
So there's a greater chance that just sending face leaks damage or prevents Mara from attacking with the rest of her board.
That makes sense, yeah.
But I do think killing the Chromai makes the most sense. Like
it depends.
even if Mara has to
depends
full
on
block,
it depends on his hand,
Yeah.
right? Like if he does have the Hurl, I could see just sending that at the Chromai. If it's something like the looking for a scrap or the nimble strike, I'm not sending that at Chromai, right? That's too much damage wasted. That's going face. But if it's a Hurl, it's a clean kill. I could see that happening.
Okay, it very much depends on the hand, but
It does, yeah.
6 being a 6,
6 is
I
really
think
low.
that's the point where you just say, okay, Dromai, do whatever.
Yeah,
If you keep a hand, cool. I'm just going to send everything at you.
makes
You
sense.
do have Nimble Strike, Looking for a Scrap, 2 Codexes, and a bunch of other stuff still in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can try to go for kill pretty reliably here.
Makes sense, yeah.
of course, the optimal card to attack into the Chromai is a Ravenous Rabble Revealing Blue, which is probably what's going to happen if one plays one. So
Fair. The only time you're happy to see a blue flipped off the Ravenous Rabble. You're like, yes, I didn't waste any damage.
And Ashwing is popped.
Okay, popping the Ashwing, fair.
Ashwing number 2 from action point number 2.
Mm-hmm. And that's the
Resolved.
problem. That's the problem with Chromai, right? You gotta have 2 poppers.
Chromai Mirror Guide combo, man.
It's awful. She might even be attacking with the Mira guy here, but I don't think so because she really doesn't want to run into the double popper hand where she just gives up the Mira guy for no reason.
I agree.
Yep.
The game would end very promptly if
Yeah,
that did happen.
Disciplined play, just going right. It's fine. I don't need those extra 2 damage. I
want to point out something here. No, never mind. She does have attack actions in her graveyard.
Oh yeah, she does.
Nourishing Emptiness is offline.
It currently is, yes, but a couple more turns.
It will be online pretty soon, though.
Couple turns of Burn Them All. Actually, just 1. She has 1 attack action in the graveyard right now.
Oh,
That's still more than 0.
Okay, Rabble for
Okay.
4.
Rabble for
Where's
4.
he going?
Kills the Chromai.
Kills the Chromai,
Kills
alright.
Dromai.
Makes sense. I mean, I'm 100% going for Chromai instead of Miraga here, right? Just because I know with the Rabble, it doesn't matter what I
Kill
flip.
an Ashwing, or...
Okay, so he's clearing the board a little bit.
This is why I disagree with flicking the Spire's Bite.
Well, I think Spider's Bite flick on the sand cover actually achieves the strategy that you've been talking about, which is getting her life total very, very low.
No, I'm not disagreeing with flicking in general, but I think Ben flicked the wrong deck.
The thing is, she also runs sinks. So if you keep the Nerve Scalpel up, you have the flick activation to get around a sink in the future as well. And
here comes Shakedown.
Dromai doesn't run that many attack actions that really block 3 that she wants to actively block with, right? So I think flicking the Spider's Bite first makes sense. I think that's the play I would make too.
I think it can be argued either way.
Fair.
There's mostly reasons for both sides.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I've learned in spectating these rounds that actually Mara might not want to play Sync Below in this matchup. You know, we've seen half her deck here. I don't think she played it at all last round. So
we've seen 1 pitched pretty early on, so she's definitely
you're
running a number of Sync Belows. I don't know if she's on the full 3, but we've seen 1 pitched like turn 2 or something, I think.
I do remember that one now that you mentioned
it. One in her pitch. We
So
haven't
it's a
seen another
minor-
one, so yeah.
Mara needs to respect this Shakedown, because...
100%.
But the question is, how much can she respect it? We already see a shred in the pitch zone, so...
Yeah.
What is Ben holding? Could it be another shred? Could it be something else?
Let's see. We see 2 shreds already in the graveyard. We see 1 in the pitch zone. We know he's pitched another yellow one earlier on. But he's on rainbow shreds, right? So 8 of them anyways, I think 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So that's like 4 shreds down.
I think Mara's still weighing her options.
Yeah. Yep, giving the 6 makes sense.
Giving
8, all right. Playing around the blue shred. I respect that.
Yeah. Also, this Flame Call Awakening...
Yeah, it doesn't.
You
really
don't
do
really
anything.
want to be attacking with it. Yeah,
that doesn't do anything in her hand right now. Could be a card you want to arsenal. That's fair. Yeah, but yeah.
So we know Ben drew a Leave No Witnesses, and he's got 3 other cards.
Okay, so she's just looking to arsenal here. Just sending the Mirror guy because it's free. 2 damage.
Yep.
3 damage actually with the burn 'em all, so. Yep. And I think her graveyard is now potentially live for another Nourishing Emptiness if she draws 1.
We just saw 2.
We just saw 2, so it's kind of unlikely, yeah. And there's a Nimble Strike, very nice. Very solid.
Where does he send it?
Oh, that's going face, 100%. That's lethal.
No, yeah.
That's lethal right there. That's
Okay.
100% going face, yeah.
He's pitching a red. That's a little unfortunate, unless he can do a swap play, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, the chances of drawing an all-red hand is fairly high with this deck, so I think that's what happened here, but sometimes it happens. Yep, snap block 5. Makes sense. You kind of have to at that point.
Exactly, yeah.
So Ben, his last card is Leave No Witnesses. We saw that from the Ravenous Rival.
We don't
So
know
Mara
what he has
can-
in Arsenal, though.
True. Arsenal
Could be a
anything.
shred still.
Could be a shred, yeah.
Does Mara block 4 though?
Well, she knows about the Leave No Witnesses.
She does, but does that mean she blocks 4? Or does she with the Flamescale Furnace? Or she give her entire hand and just swing back with Mirror Guy again?
Yeah, tough situation either way. She's playing around
Ooh.
shred still.
Yep. She does, yeah.
Whatever that arsenal is, it's doing its dang job.
It really is. It doesn't matter what it is. Mara is
Exactly. That's
playing
what I'm
around
saying.
everything.
Like,
Yep.
Yeah,
it could
it's-
literally be
It's kind of the Bravo just Arsenal to pummel situation, right?
Yep.
Like,
yeah. It could literally be a Sigil of Solace and it's doing its job.
So
Yep.
Ben has a pretty cool decision point here. He can choose to swap into the Leave No Witness. Yeah, he does so. And this just lets him draw 4 new cards. More chances at
Yeah.
go again.
Yeah, the Leave No is not really doing anything for him here.
Right?
Because he can't really get that to connect reliably in this situation, so yeah. Yep, Mara just going, okay, I'm just chunk you down for 3.
And this is why leaving that Chromai on the board would have been very scary.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
Because then that 3 every turn turns into like 4 to 5 every turn. I think clearing that was absolutely the correct choice, yeah.
Mara burning away her attack actions, still trying to find that last copy.
Last
of the-
nourishing. Yeah, I think actually she's in a spot where she can't really ever play out the nourishing emptiness. Unless
No.
Ben bricks like hardcore and has a turn where he just does nothing, you know?
Ben
Um,
has 2 coaxes still in his deck. I don't think he's bricking.
Leading
Swings
with a
into her
dagger
scalpel.
is... This is probably a bad sign for Mara.
So going to Ashwing or
Oh
just
no,
on the
face. 100%.
Going face. Yep.
20% of your life total is, yeah. That's going face.
25 if you count Flick Knives.
True.
Yeah, I gotta say, I think Ben should be walking this one home in the next turn or two.
I mean, you know, Dromai is a deck that can bounce back from like really low life totals sometimes. So I wouldn't call it yet, but he's definitely looking to be in a much better spot than he was last game, right?
Looks like there was something wrong. Or E-Strike, bomb a card.
Okay, I guess he didn't want to dagger here. That's fair.
Going for go again.
I mean, this is basically like, right, this is not a, you know, competitive game. This is a game where this is more of a teaching experience, right? So
Yep.
them taking back plays, trying to find like the ideal lines. That's kind of the idea with this whole thing.
Yeah, and so we know Ben will have possibly a blue pitch left over from this E-Strike, unless that's what he put on the bottom.
Could be.
Or it could just be isolate into a stealth card.
Could be.
It's classic.
Blocking the E-Strike with another E-Strike.
Yeah, this 5
Mara
breakpoint-
going down to 3.
Yeah,
Mara's in the danger zone.
3 is rough.
E-Strike is a card that it's not always the
Looking for a
most
scrap,
efficient when you
banish
choose
a
go again.
Dagger
Okay.
probably. Banishing dagger.
Yep.
Coming for 5 go again.
I think that was the only thing you had in the bin that, you know, would work. So, yeah. It's definitely a smart play from Ben to only run the single copy of Looking for a Scrap in this list, just because it's really hard to get those blue stealth cards in the graveyard when you only have 6 of them. And you
Depending
normally...
on what
I mean,
Ben has here, this is
yeah.
game.
Oh yeah, it could be. Definitely.
So if you flick in response here, this is lethal.
See, there's the sink below, yeah. But Ben's very, very priced into flicking here.
Yeah, if he sees the line, he flicks here. This blocks for 3 against 2.
Unless
He sees
Mara
it.
has another, like, sink or sand cover or something, but yeah.
Even then,
Right now, that's
Yeah.
lethal.
I'm
Does leave him with no daggers. But,
at 2. I think he's fine.
yeah.
Oh, I think we're reverting. Mara probably just did the math wrong.
Forgot
in this
about
case.
the flick, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
fair. Yeah, yeah. That's another one of those situations where you just go, right, you know, teaching experience, play the game in an ideal way so you can learn the most from it. That's sort of the idea here.
Exactly.
Obviously, if you're at a tournament, you make a mistake like that, you have to eat the loss, you know, that's what happens, but
The Plague Hive is in a tournament, unfortunately.
I'm working on it. Plague Hive tournament coming at some point in the future.
Coming soon, TM.
Yeah, maybe 2025 or something. Let's see.
And they're all just Uzuri mirrors.
Yes. I'll allow Arachne too. If you want to play Arachne, I'm fine with that. Which,
I have a friend who's-
unironically, I think Arachne is actually favored into Uzuri to some extent.
I've been playing with a friend who, like, probably has some of the highest finishes on Arachne in the world, and I can confidently say it is anyone's game.
Mm-hmm.
The number of reactions both decks play,
Yeah.
the number of tricks that Assassin class has in general. Now there's also Shriek Razors that makes the Arachne side really interesting.
Oh yeah, that card is really good for Arachne specifically. Like, Uzuri can't really utilize
Command
it
and
that
Conquer,
well.
that's
Ooh,
game.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, Mara can't block that.
Unless Mara has a sand cover in Arsenal, which I think is unlikely, and then he can still flick. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's game.
think that's it. Yep. Very nice.
Pretty good showing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great showing by both of them.
Yep, definitely. So we saw that this matchup can definitely go both ways. You know, with a little bit of getting the correct sequence of cards, this is absolutely winnable.
Yeah, and I think what's really fascinating, I'm just kind of pondering the stats here that Talishar has at the end.
Yep.
In this match, Ben saw 0 copies of Death Touch.
That is interesting.
Yeah, the deck can push damage, like, depending on how things line up. It really can get there.
Yep.
I do
that-
think the deck and just in general, everything went Ben's way. We saw the turn 0 Nourishing Emptiness.
Sure.
That
yeah.
really set the tempo for the entire game with
Yeah,
Ben.
the turn 0 nourishing into the turn 1 leave no innocence was pretty backbreaking. I think that set the tempo of the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
That was huge.
So, apart from, right, like the obvious high roll with the turn 0 nourishing, right? Because that's definitely something that you won't see every game or even like every 5th game, right? But
Well, that's why it's there. You know,
I mean,
people ask
sure,
me, why is
absolutely.
nourishing good?
it's why it's there, and if it does line up that way, it's absolutely great to have it. But it's not something you can, really rely on. Like that might happen once at a tournament, and I think if I recall, it didn't actually happen to you at the calling at all, right?
No, it did not.
Over 12 rounds of Swiss and then the top 8, like not even a single one of them. So, but do you think like just being able to go first gives you a relevant number of percentage points in that matchup?
I think it's very, very important. Like if you see here, I'm 11 health up.
Yeah.
If I, was, I mean, it's hard to quantitate how much the nourishing changes things. But this game could have been closer, and I still probably would have won. So yeah, going first definitely feels a lot better because I get to pressure, and then Mara has to pay a greater cost to build up that board state.
Yeah, being able to just get that first dragon for free is super relevant in this matchup.
Yeah, the first dragon is not unlike landing and nourishing yourself. It's just at least 3 value right off the bat.
And I get it every game.
Every time.
Going first for Dromai feels super huge.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the decks where you're not only, not hate going first, you're actively looking to go first in a lot of matchups, I think. Just because, you have so many things you can actually do on turn 0 compared to most other decks.
Yeah, I was in a point where, like in the Lexi meta, I was very seriously having debates and discussions about whether it was correct to go first or second against Lexi. Because Lexi gains so much going second, but we gain so much going first too.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a very real argument to be had that it might have been correct for Dromai to go first into Lexi. Like, I settled on no just because I think if Lexi got a single load off of Voltaire, it was actually better for us to go first. But if she got a double load with like a Rainrazor's Bolton Shot, then it was like just too much. But it was very close.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. But that was a really interesting game. So we kind of saw, both sides of that matchup. And I think specifically the last game just really showcased why you should not underestimate Uzuri as a Dromai player, right? Like,
never.
The first game was sort of, that's if you tell somebody, hey, Uzuri versus Dromai, I think that's what they expect, right? Like this game where you just get this board state and you just kind of roll over the Uzuri and they can't really, get out and do anything. That's sort of what people think is going to happen in that matchup. And then the second game just kind of showcases that, yeah, if you, disrespect the matchup and you don't put in the reps, you just lose, right? And I mean, you definitely didn't disrespect the matchup. You practice it, you put the reps in, and Ben still finished it with 11 life up. So it's definitely a game that's losable for Dromai, but it's also definitely a very uphill battle for the Uzuri, I think. And I would say if both players put an average amount of reps into the matchup, right, and were, average skill, everything like that, I think it would still be Dromai favorite mostly. So I don't think this matchup is ever not Dromai favorite, but I also think that you can definitely, put the work in and actually make the Dromai work for their win, right? Or even take the win from them, as we've seen now. So that's definitely in the cards there.
It's a very fun matchup.
It is a super fun matchup. And
it's really interesting.
Yeah, I feel like anyone who ever says like, "Oh, this matchup is unwinnable," or anything akin to that, like I think that with almost any matchup, there's so few matchups in this game that feel just dramatically one-sided.
I used to be a Dory player. I can tell you all about unwinnable matchups.
I disagree with you. Unless like Dory Prism was pretty bad. I will openly concede Dory Prism was probably an unwinnable matchup. But beyond
that's just Prism, though.
Yeah, that's just Prism. Prism was just super polarizing.
Yeah.
I definitely I love Dromai. The better illusionist for sure.
Yeah.
A lot more game. It's like it's fun to play versus. It's more interactive. Yeah, it's good.
I think they really I mean, you can tell that they kind of realized that, the way they've set up Illusionist at first was sort of a mistake maybe in terms of health for the game, right? Just because Spectra and Luminaris were made the matchup so polarizing that it was just not fun for one of the players involved. Like, it was either not fun for the Prism or not fun for their opponent. And there's not really any in between with Prism, right? Like almost no deck in the game had like a balanced, interesting matchup into Prism. And I think
Prism mirrors.
Prism Mirror, sure, yeah, but even that, I think, not necessarily, because it's just like whoever plays out their Spectral Shields first loses, essentially. So even that wasn't like terribly interesting, I think. And with Dromai, they've definitely done a better job of, giving her drawbacks, but also giving her ways to work around those drawbacks. So in general, she just has a more balanced matchup spread. I think personally, it's still a little bit too polarizing for my taste. But that might just be like, residual, like just not liking Illusionist as a class in general. I like no disrespect to you or anything, but I just personally feel that the class is maybe, I don't know. I get why it's there. It sort of caters to some extent to that audience that is coming maybe from another TCG that is like more permanent based. Where they're like, hey, I come from Magic the Gathering or something. I want to build up a board state and develop, the game that way. And that's kind of what I want to do. And if you come into Flesh and Blood, basically Illusionist is kind of the only deck or the only class you can play that has that. Outside of like, maybe Mechanologist a little bit, but it does it in a very different way. And then Dromai is just really approachable for somebody coming from Magic the Gathering, because just like, right, you play, dragons, you build a board state of dragons, and then you attack the other guy with those dragons, and that's how you win. I think that's pretty approachable coming from a different TCG, so I can definitely see why they put that into the game.
I just want to intervene here just to tell everyone, happy Assassin birthday!
It's true. The class came out a year ago. Yeah.
God, has it been a year already?
I think it's
Yes,
been a
it's
year.
been a year.
Yeah. Dynasty's been a year. Yep.
That's
We're not
funny that we
getting
do this today.
we're not getting any younger.
Hip,
No
hip,
joke.
hip, hooray.
Unfortunate reality.
One major win down. Only took a year.
Not really.
I mean,
It's okay. It took Dromai like what, a year and a half, 2?
mhm.
Because Dallas was Dromai's first calling win.
That's actually
pretty
true.
insane.
Yeah, like I mean,
Yeah.
Dromai they were kind of in a similar situation, right? Where you pretty consistently had Dromais making top 8, but they never actually got the win anywhere until Dallas, basically. Yeah.
There was a big running joke about how Dromai couldn't close.
Yeah.
Like
And
Dromai just could not punch that last like single game for like forever.
Well, now we have, if you choose to believe this narrative, which I do, 6 different heroes winning callings of the last 6 callings. And I think with some gameplay like we've seen here, it just shows that, things aren't as doom and gloom when it comes to matchup spreads as people think, and truly any hero that you devote your time and effort into, like it'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah, I absolutely like. I'm very high, obviously, on being able to like just have a dedicated hero. I think this game is so deep and so complex, especially with some of these heroes, that like being able to just really dedicate to a single hero, I think you actually gain a lot of percentage points. I think it's something that I've said, like, because like I came from Magic, and Magic, like you see like tier lists are a big thing. Like you see them all the time. With everyone else discuss like what tier heroes or what tier decks are, and like we still get them in Fab, but I actually have a lot harder time with tier lists in Flesh and Blood because I feel like the player's skill expression is so much more important. Like, you talk about like, oh well, Dromai's favorite into Uzuri, but I guarantee an Uzuri player who's put a lot of reps in this matchup versus a Dromai who's not as experienced, like I put that matchup substantially as Uzuri favored.
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like it's like, and like they they always joke about the Dromai Bravo. Like everyone calls it an 80-80 matchup because everyone says that they're favored on their side, and the real answer is it depends on player skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is absolutely a matchup that like whoever the more skilled player is going to win that matchup a vast majority of the time.
That's true. Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite things about this game that like because you have so much skill expression, it feels so rewarding to dedicate to a single hero.
100%. I mean, I agree entirely.
I do hope that
No.
your Living Legend rotation doesn't like take that out of this game. I don't think it will, but it definitely hurts it a little bit.
Oh, you mean like with the weekly updates and that?
Yeah, between that and just Living Legend points increasing more quickly.
Okay,
makes it
right.
a little bit like you just have less time to really dedicate to a single hero if that hero is doing reasonably well.
True. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So
I think-
in theory, if you only ever win one calling, if your hero only ever wins one calling, which seems like it might be a trend, then you're good for a couple of years, if not more.
See, you would think that, but Dromai has only won one calling and is now sitting at 580
93.
LL. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Dromai's almost at 600 LL points and has only ever won one calling and gained most of that in like a span of 3 weeks. She
Yeah.
just
I-
did
I-
very
She's
well
got
at
a
her
ton from this pro quest. Yeah.
She gained
but
almost
there will be
300
more
points.
heroes entering to smooth that distribution, and
Oh, for sure.
you've also had a year and a half already. Like it.
Sure. Like, this is not me particularly critiquing the.
Yeah, I get you.
I actually really like the LL system as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I just like noting that with the current system, it is very possible for a hero to jump in points very quickly. And it's a thing that like as a specialist, like choosing a hero to specialize in, that you like have to be very mindful of now.
Yeah, you're welcome over on our side whenever Dromai does leave.
There's the like I told you I've played Uzuri at a PTI event at least once. I've played a lot of Uzuri in Progress. Like,
Yeah, that's why you're welcome.
I think anyone in who hangs out in Uzuri Purple Chat has seen some of my just wild Uzuri builds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mischievous
The
meeps.
spice. The spice is strong.
Dude, I am so high on Mischievous Meeps in Uzuri. I think that card is absolutely everything I ever want to do, and even doubly so now. So like now here I'm gonna give you guys like the exclusive on some new spice. So I've already been very high on Mischievous Meeps in Uzuri already, but now you get the line where you go pitch a blue, Mischievous Meeps. They can block with a piece of temper equipment because
Already
that's just like
dead.
the obvious. That's the obvious one, and then you can go dagger into already dead on a very clean line. Like it makes armor blocking on Mischievous Meeps so much scarier now because of already dead.
True. I mean, I agree that is a very, very good way to implement already dead, because I know Ben's not like super high on the card, right? And I think that comes down to your deck specifically not utilizing it very well. And I definitely think that you can build a deck that can use already dead a lot better. But the question is how that deck performs into the overall meta, obviously, right? Like we talked a little bit about this in the video that we recorded on Wednesday, and that's coming out in a couple days, guys. So I recorded a deck interview with Ben about his calling winning list. So that's coming out probably on the weekend. And we went a little bit over like why you chose not to run already dead and chose to include like Nourishing Emptiness instead, right? And I completely agree with that reasoning, that in your deck specifically, I think already dead is not a great card. But yeah,
I mean,
it is a good way to get silver for the Dromai matchup.
I tested it, and for my deck in testing, it just is literally blank. It never once did anything.
yeah, no,
across like a lot of games.
No, the issue is you need to have like an initial attack that is threatening enough so they actually are tempted to commit armor, and then you need the follow-up of already dead. So you need to give that first initial attack go again somehow, right? Which means that actually Mischievous Meeps fits both of those criteria perfectly well, because it's like it's incredibly incentivized to block it with a 2-block equipment, right? Because you can just go like, yep, I'm just going to stop this with a piece of temper or something, or even Battle Worn. Doesn't matter, right? You just, you throw that tectonic plating in front of it or something. And then you can follow it up with the already dead. And that's just a really clean line, like Mara said.
I refuse to believe. This is a psyop from the Dromai player. Don't believe her. She's making our decks worse.
I'm not saying that the deck that runs this line is necessarily a better deck. I'm just saying if you want to run already dead, this is a possibility to make the card actually work, right? And to make the card do something. Also, another way would be, for example, to run even bigger than that, right? We've seen that in Archon's contract Uzuri list, because it's an easy way to give go again to something that is disruptive and threatening, right? If you go like Dagger into already dead, into Leave No Witnesses, into Isolate, or Dagger into Leave No Witnesses, with even bigger than that to give the Leave No Witnesses go again, right? And then you follow that up with like Isolate into already dead. You already have a pretty good line that threatens the equipment block there. But in the Redline deck, which I believe is probably the most efficient, or at least among the most efficient Uzuri lists you could play, already dead just doesn't really work, because the cards that would make it work just don't make the cut for that list. I think that's the issue there.
Meeps.
Yeah.
Meeps. All right. I think Meeps is probably a good way to end this whole thing. So with that, we're going to call it a day. And I think just finishing on one win for both decks is a very good way of showing that this matchup is not as one-sided as people make it out to be. And if you put in the reps and you learn the matchup, it's definitely winnable as Uzuri. And it's definitely losable as Dromai. So for any Dromai players watching this right now, practice the matchup a bit. Don't assume that it's a free win just because most people tend to say it's a free win. If you run into an Uzuri pilot who really practice their deck, they can definitely make you sweat and definitely make you work for it. And yeah, if anyone in the chat has any last questions to any of these wonderful people that joined me today, now's your time to get them out there. If you don't get them out now, leave them down in the comments. Obviously, this is going up as a video on demand, so you can rewatch this anytime you want to. The deck lists are in the description of the video, so you can check that out. And yeah, there's also a couple of links to Mara's socials, because in addition to being a great Dromai player, she also does altar work. So if you want to commission her for some artwork or something, feel free to do that. The links are down there. And yeah, do you guys want to, get out any closing thoughts to this?
I'd just like to thank Mara for the games. Pleasure playing.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me. This has been great.
Anytime.
I had a blast.
If you ever want to do a repeat of this, I'm game. I'm up for it, 100%. All right. Then thank you all for coming here. Ben, Mara, for playing these games and showing these people how this matchup works at a high level. And Tom for, casting this with me. And also to Colin for casting it with me. Colin already had to leave because he had to run to actually get to an armory. So he's already gone. But yeah, he was there, and it was great to have him along for the casting and for showcasing stuff and calling out moves and stuff. All right, so with that, we're going to call it a night in my case, and a evening or like midday, I guess, for the rest of you. All right, and then see you guys in the next one. Bye.
All right, ciao. Thank you again.
Bye-bye. GG.
GG, absolutely.